Good afternoon, students. How are you? I hope you are all doing good. So, students, as we have started a new chapter that is acid, base, and salt, and if you have gone through the last video, you have seen that I have discussed that what is acid, right, and their classification. As I told you that in this content what we are going to discuss about that is what is acid and base, what is indicator, neutralization reaction and their uses. We have already discussed that is what is acid, right? Acids are those which are sour in taste, and it we any substance which are sour in taste we call it as a acidic substance. And we also discussed some of the properties. What is the properties of acid? The acid tastes sour. That means any substance which are sour in taste, that means it contains acid. And if it contains acid, then we call that substance as acidic substance. Example, we have seen, I told you that these acids are present in our day-to-day life. We eat them, we even consume these acids in our day-to-day life, like curd, lemon, everybody we have them, and but we didn't know that what the we didn't know the reason behind their sourness. The reason behind their sourness is because of the acid present in it. And as I told you, acid turns blue litmus to red. Now I'm going to discuss about this, that what is litmus in this today's topic only. And also we have discussed about the classification of acid. That is, acids can be classified based on, one is based on source, another one is based on corrosive in nature. Based on source, I told you that it is organic acid and inorganic acid. And based on corrosive in nature, we can classify them as a weak acid and strong acid. Now, based on source, we have find out that what is the difference between organic and inorganic. That is, organic acids are naturally obtained in nature. That means any acid that are obtained from nature, either by living organism or non-living organism, that we don't have to produce them, we don't have to manufacture them, then those acids are actually organic acids, and they are generally weak in nature. And also we have discussed what is inorganic. They are synthesized, made from ores, and they are generally strong in nature, usually dangerous. Strong means that which can harm us, so they are dangerous. An example, we have seen sulfuric acid and hydrochloric acid. Based on strength also, we have discussed that acids can be classified as a strong acid and weak acid. Now, strong acids are, they are very corrosive in nature, and weak acids are mild in nature. Strong and weak, generally by the word strong and weak, what comes down in mind? That is, strong are those which can harm us easily, and weak are those which cannot harm us. They are actually friendly to us. So strong acids are very dangerous, whereas weak acids, they are quite friendly, or better to say they are generally edible. We can eat them, we can touch them, they won't harm us, it won't cause any kind of burn in it. Whereas strong acids are those which are very corrosive in nature and will cause a burn and is usually dangerous. So this is what we have discussed. Now comes to the next, that is base. What is base? The base, whom should we call base? Acid, we know that those which are sour in taste, they are actually acid. But what about base? Base are bitter in taste and soapy on touch. Any substance which are soapy, slippery on touch, or bitter in taste, then we can say it contains base. That means base is present. And if it contains base, then we call that substance as a basic substance. Properties of bases are, the properties of bases are that base tastes bitter, that is one property, and bases when added to water feel soapy on touch. Have you ever seen, like for example, soap, when we add water, when we dissolve the soap in water, we feel some slippery on touch or soapy on touch. That means that soap contains, then we can say that those soap contains base. And any substance which contain base, we call it as a basic substance. For example, baking soda, soap, hand wash. See, the soap, hand wash, detergent, cleaners, baking soda, we all use them in our day-to-day life, but we never came across the reason behind the soapy touch or slippery touch. Why? We never knew that why that soap, hand wash and detergents are very slippery on touch, why they have a soapy in touch. Why baking soda have a soapy on touch? The reason is because they contain base, and base turns lead litmus to blue. We will come across this litmus in the next. Now, based on source, as acids can be classified based on source as a strong and weak, the base can be classified as a weak and strong bases. Like similarly, like strong acid, the strong bases are also corrosive in nature, will cause burn to our skin. Example, hydro sodium hydroxide. And similarly, like weak acids, weak bases are also friendly, means they won't cause any kind of harm to our body or any, it is a mild in nature. It is a mild in nature. For example, baking powder, soap, these are mild, these are weak bases. That is the reason we are able to use them in our day to day life. We don't feel when we use soap, detergent, do we feel any kind of soapy, any kind of burn sensation? No, we don't feel it. The reason is because they are weak in nature, they are very mild, they won't cause any harm. Now comes to the next, that is the difference, that as we have discussed what is acid and base, now we can summarize it, we can differentiate, we can tell the difference between acid. What are acid? They turn blue litmus to red, whereas the bases are, they turn red litmus to blue. What is that? Second one, the acids are sour in taste. Any substance which are sour in taste, that means acid is present. Similarly, bases are bitter in taste. Chemical nature of substance is acidic. Chemical nature of substance that contain base is said to be basic. That means if it contains base, that we call it as a basic. If it contains acid, then we call it as a acidic. They are not soapy to touch. We don't feel any kind of soapiness when we touch lemon juice or acetic acid. They are all they contain acid, but they don't, we don't feel any kind of slippery on touch, right? But in case of base, yes, we feel soapy on touch. Example, hydrochloric acid and acetic acid. Similarly, the example is sodium hydroxide and soaps, detergent that we use in our day-to-day life, they all contain base. Now comes to the next, that is, as you can see here, that is danger sign. Now, as I told you that some acids are strong, some acids are base. Even for same goes for the base also, that some bases are strong, some bases are weak. Now if I ask you that, if I give you two container and I ask you, tell me which of these contain acid, will you touch them? Will you touch them directly? No. Why? Because you have come across, you know that some of the acid or some base are, can be strong, it can be weak, we don't know them, so we can't go on touching the chemicals, and by touching we go on, we indicate them whether it is acid or base. So in that case, what should we do? In that case, we need a solution, and that solution we call it as a indicator. So we cannot test everything, right? Yes, if I ask you that, tell me which of the following contains acid, you can't go on touching or eat or taste them by for indicating whether it is acid, because you don't know, it can be strong, it can be weak, so it can be dangerous to you, so you cannot go on touching every chemical or taste every chemical in order to just indicate whether it is acid or base. So in that case, what should we do? How we will find whether it is a, whether the substance is acidic or base? Then we found a solution. We found every problem has a solution, and what is that? That is indicator. You have come across this word indicator. Indicators are present in automobiles. We have seen that indicators are present in cars, bikes, right? What does it help? It helps to indicate that in which direction we are going to move, right? In order to avoid accident. In order to avoid accident, any harm to cause us, we use there is an indicator placed in an automobile. Similarly, these indicator in chemistry actually help us to indicate whether it is acidic or base. That means it is actually helping us to indicate whether it is acid or base without touching them. It is a kind of a savior, easily tell whether it is acid or base, means we don't have to touch them, neither we have to eat them, neither we have to taste them in order to identify. We can easily use this indicator. Now what is indicator? Indicator are very special type of substances that are used to test whether it is acid or whether it is basic, whether the substance is acid. And how can we tell? How can an indicator tell us that substance is acidic in base? Now tell me the indicator that is present in automobile, how it works? It works by blinking a light, right? Light, red light blink করলেই we can easily tell that কোন direction এ যাচ্ছি, right? So by blinking a light we can tell that indicator tell us that which direction we can move. Similarly, in case of the indicator that we use in chemistry, indicator can help us to tell whether the substance is acidic or base by changing its color. For acidic, they will show a certain particular color, and for base, they will also show a particular color. Means for acid and base, they will this indicator will show different color to us. Means if suppose a indicator can is showing a green color in acidic solution, whereas a indicator is showing a blue color in basic solution, that means whatever acid you take or not, that indicator will always show green in color. That means it is acid. And whatever base you take, if you take all the bases that are present on the earth, if you use that indicator, it will show blue color. That means they will give us a specific color in presence of acid and in presence of base, and by changing by that color only we can identify whether it is acid or not, or basic or not. So all we have to know is the we know all we have to know is the knowledge. That means we have to know which color this indicator change in presence of acid and base. And if we have that knowledge, that knowledge of the color change of this indicator in presence of acid, we can easily use them for identification. Now, like base and acids, they can be classified. This indicator can also be classified as a natural and synthetic. Now we have come across this word that natural and synthetic various time, and we know what does it mean. That means you can get an idea that if an indicator which is natural indicator, that means they are available from nature. It is, we don't have to prepare them, it is directly available in nature. That means nature has acid, nature has base, and nature itself has given us a solution to indicate whether it is acid or base, and by giving us what? Natural indicator. And what are they? Litmus, turmeric, and China rose. Similarly, that synthetic indicators are those. Synthetic indicators are those which are manufactured or prepared in laboratories, means which are manufactured by humans. Like example, phenolphthalein methyl orange. These are all manufactured by humans, and these are all synthetic indicators. So, as you have seen, now we have discussed that what is indicators, and we also have discussed what is base. And we have discussed what is the reason behind that, why we need indicator. Why we need indicator? We need indicator because in order to identify whether it is acid or base, because some acids are, some acid or base are very dangerous. It can be harmful. So we can't touch or taste everything. We can't touch or taste every chemicals in order to identify whether it is acid or base, and that is the reason we need indicator. We will discuss up to this now. Till then, thank you and have a nice day.